Why nobody ever talks about this? Congratulations. This podcast is for you. Welcome to the People's Voice, DC, where the city finally gets the mic. And nah, this ain't one of those podcasts where everybody sounds smart, but nobody actually saying anything. We talk real life, DC life. The kind of conversations you have after work, on the metro, or when the group chat gets serious out of nowhere. Yeah, we talk politics, but don't worry. Nobody yelling over each other, nobody reading off cue cards, and definitely nobody pretending they got it all figured out. We're talking housing, money, schools, mental health, culture, faith, purpose, relationships, basically all the stuff that actually affects your life, but somehow never gets explained right. This podcast is powered by Rising Voices of Politics and founded by Reverend Michael Campbell. But listen, you don't gotta be a politician, a preacher, or an expert in nothing to belong here. If you got opinion, questions, or just a story to tell, you already qualify. And the energy, chill, honest, a little funny. Sometimes deep, sometimes light, but always real. Catch us live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on YouTube and social media. Miss it? Cool. It drops the same night at risingvoicesdc.org, and you can listen anytime on Spotify. So whether you're outside, inside, commuting, procrastinating, or just tired of podcasts that don't sound like you, tap in, tune in, laugh a little, learn something. This is the People's Voice, DC, where the conversations make sense. The people are real. And yeah, we might even say what you've been thinking.
DC, my Martin voice. What's up? This is your boy, your favorite pastor, your favorite uncle, your favorite nephew. Reverend Mike is on the mic. So, listen, before we get started, I do have like a slight criticism. It's not slight, it's huge. Last week, we had, snow come through. It was real. It still is a little real, but it was real. And I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. I was out of work all week from, my great kids at Monument. I was out of work all week and I was paid for it. However, let's not, listen. Under the leadership of our Madam Mayor Bowser, where roads were not clear, where sidewalks were not clear, where alleys were not clear, where metro buses are still getting stuck, where, it's just crazy. Even ambulances and fire trucks are getting stuck. It's crazy. But our Madam Mayor decided that it was okay and that it was safe for kids to return to school. I guess the 2-hour delay made a difference. It didn't. But shout out to all of our parents who actually care about our kids, who decided to keep their children home, who decided that safety for their kids come first. Shout out to all of you great, wonderful parents. Also, I don't know if you heard the introduction. Shout out to our intro maker, but I don't know if you heard the introduction, but we are on Spotify. Yes, people have been asking. They're like, look, I can't really watch the show, but, is it where I can just like listen to it while, I'm doing this, or while I'm on the train, or, while I'm driving? Listen, you can tune in Spotify. We have our audio only version. We also got the video version coming up on Spotify too. But, tune in. Check us out. We're also on all the other social medias. You can check us out on TikTok. You can check us out on Instagram. You can check us out on X. I was about to say Twitter, but shout out to Elon Musk. Anyway, let's get on with our show. Backstage, we have the beautiful Madam Rashida Brown in the building, running for Ward 1 Council. And today we want to just learn a little bit more of who Madam Brown is and what she stands for. So without further do we have a little intro video, and you guys are going to go see Madam Rashida after this. Stay tuned.
Check this out.
Okay.
I look good.
Okay. On the street and I got my swag on. Okay. Get the money, gotta get my bag on. Okay. Swing out the whole scene. Okay. All you suckers just the one that be me. So, get smacked. You looking whack. I got the big stats. I'm pushing stacks. New outfit. You wish you had it on. Only tricks on.
Listen. I have got to get some. Listen, whoever on your team, whoever you know, I got to get somebody to help me make my videos. That thing was cranking. I was like, okay. And then they ended with the fresh clothes pop. Listen, shout out to Shine. I got my fresh hoodie on, the faith over here, red, white, and black. We up in here. Listen, my thing came through the snowstorm. You understand? I was one of the ones who started off, like my sisters and my cousins and my neighbors was like, you don't order from Shane? I was like, nah, bro, I don't trust that. I ain't waiting 4 weeks for my stuff to come. I got to get my stuff in the store, And since I saw something, the app came up on my phone. I was like, I'm gonna just check it out and see what's on here. And I saw some stuff on there. Like I can literally just Google all Christian products, and it's nothing but Christian-based clothing that comes on there. And I just tried it out. I said, I'm gonna try it out. And I ain't trying to tell y'all my budget business or my income or nothing, but for us folk that gotta manage funds a little differently, they allow for you to use the after-pay feature. That's big for me. Listen, I keep it real. That's big for me. I pay $20 a week and I can get $100. Listen, Shane, shout out. I guess I done gave a free promo. My mom gonna be mad at me. She's like, you better stop doing these free promos. But I didn't did one. How are you doing this day?
I am doing well. Thank you so much, Pastor Mike, for having me.
Thank you for coming. I never take it for granted. And let me just say we, because it's not just me that's doing this. We never take it for granted when we have folks take the time out of their busy schedules, especially during a time such as an election year, and you're out campaigning and fundraising. We all know fundraising is necessary when you're running for office in this city. So, we really appreciate you just taking a moment, because this is not about us, but we do this because we want people who may not follow quote unquote politics 24/7, who have their lives, their daily lives. They may have to work, come home, cook, put the kids to bed, help them with homework, and they just may not be as involved. But we want to provide folks an opportunity to be heard by those voters. And we also want to provide those voters and constituents with an opportunity to actually learn more about the person they may be potentially voting for. So we have a great show lined up. But of course, we heard some recent news, and I just want to give honor, as the word says, where honor is due. And so I just want to give this quick tribute to our longtime Congresswoman.
Look, the recitation we heard from my friend on the other side of the aisle about complete authority has never been refuted by me or anyone on this side of the aisle. You do have complete authority. We concede that. What we're asking is for you to delegate that authority to the District of Columbia, just as you have delegated home rule to the District of Columbia. So you contradict yourself. Because 40 years ago, you delegated your, quote, complete authority to the Council of the District of Columbia. We're only asking for you to do that. Hey, shall we bow down and say once again, you have complete authority. This is not statehood, my friend. I'm asking you by congressional act now. to allow us to have authority over every penny, $7 billion of it, raised in the District of Columbia by the people of the District of Columbia. And let me assert here, whatever is your complete authority, you have no complete authority over me, sir, because I live in the District of.
And that is just a sample of some of the great work that our longtime, decades-long, honorable Congresswoman has put in for our great city, and battling for it and helping to expand our Home Rule Act and our autonomy as a city, and prayerfully soon a state in this great city. So yes, I definitely wanted to give you, Madam Rashida, an opportunity to introduce yourself, let the people know about you. But I first felt like it was necessary first to start off by honoring the years and the service of our Congresswoman, who I grew up only dreaming of one day being able to meet, and to go from that person as a kid dreaming to actually be able to sit in some of the same rooms, to actually be able to interact and discuss and debate some policy with her, was definitely a dream come true for me. And I say that I'm not in ignorance or not in an attempt to forget. You know, I also have had my criticisms. For a long time, I have felt this. It has been time for our Congresswoman to step aside. And I have felt like it was some things that didn't get quite the attention that it deserved outside of statehood from our Congresswoman. So yes, I hope I was asking you to start off with your thoughts on the Congresswoman. What type of Congresswoman, as a councilwoman, you would want to work with to help fight for our autonomy and statehood. And you can just go right on into telling us who you are, why you have decided to run to represent us in Ward 1 after that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Pastor Mike, for having me again, and to the People's Voice of DC. My name is Rashida Brown, DC Council candidate for Ward 1. We are progressive, diverse progressive ward, the most diverse progressive ward in the District of Columbia. And we have multiple neighborhoods that consist of Ward 1, Adams Morgan, U Street, Columbia Heights, Shaw, Lanier. And I just wanted to just really uplift the residents of Ward 1 in the District of Columbia, particularly during this time when we're going through so much. I came here to attend Howard University School of Social Work. Lived here for about 25 years. I'm a 10-year ANC commissioner. I just remembered coming here to Ward 1 about 25 years ago, right on Georgia Avenue. I lived in the towers. Didn't have housing when I first came here, but I was able to get that. Didn't have furniture. I slept on the floor. That's when my first night living here, I heard gunshots for the first time. But I also heard the music from the 930 Club and laughter of the Howard students, and I knew that this was my home. You know, I have lifelong friends at Howard that I've known for so many years. And I always tell people that I now am investing in the ward that's invested in me through my work as an ANC commissioner, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I was just really pleased to be sitting here in the seat, and I just want to join you in honoring Representative Holmes Norton. She's been a fighter for the District of Columbia for so many years. She needs her flowers. She has been a civil rights leader, fighter for women's rights, instrumental in home rule, my ability to run for this seat and to secure protections for DC. And she has been a fighter for statehood, and that's so desperately needed at this time. She really lifted up a lot of important messages that Congress needed to hear about DC, and we just need DC statehood now. We need free DC, and her work will continue the rest.
Hey, I heard something in there. Shout out to Free DC. We need Free DC.
Free
For
DC.
sure. Listen. You were endorsed by our sitting Ward 1 council member, Brianne Nadeau, and that's a big deal. You know, the council member did some great work. There were some things that I'm sure myself and other people may disagree with, but she overall did some great work. I always found myself proud of her willingness to go toe to toe with our mayor on issues that mattered, and to stand firm on her principles that mattered to her. So I wonder, what does it mean to you to receive the endorsement of our sitting Ward 1 council member?
Yes, shout out to Councilmember Brianne Nadeau. I was her ANC commissioner 10 years ago. I remembered when she was running for DC Council for Ward 1 in 2015, and I was running for ANC, first time elected official. I have pictures of her and I when we go way back during that first time, and I said, whoa, we were just girls then, and now we're women. She has 2 children now and is married, and so now I'm in this place. I never thought that I would be here. Just the background that I have as a social worker, my goal has always been to ensure that I'm lifting up the needs of residents, particularly who are low income, who are working class like me. I grew up in a working class family, and I know that government can be doing more to pitch in and make sure that residents are okay, no matter their income or walk of life. And that is something that I have alignment with Councilmember Nadeau. She was a committee chairwoman for the Human Services Committee, so she was instrumental in passing a lot of legislation, baby bonds, and ensuring that we had TANF protections for low-income families. There are some critical things that she was able to do in her seat, in her position, to ensure that residents have what we need, not only in our ward, but around the city. So I commend her for the work that she's done. And as a DC council member, I greatly will get the baton as it's passed to me, and ensure that residents are protected in the same way.
Yes, I love that. So let's just get right into it. One thing that Council Member Nadeau heavily criticized the mayor on was some of her moves when it came to housing for this city. And so I have a short video, and I'm gonna play it, and I just want your thoughts and reaction to the video.
Today, let's talk about systemic accountability to the working class. We went over how DC is using area median income as the measure of affordability, which bases the definition of low income on the median income of people living there, not on minimum wage, which means it goes up with more rich people coming in, which is a little disingenuous, as it continually pushes out the lowest income, including minimum wage workers. Now let's hone in even more on the waiting list for affordable inclusionary zoning, or IZ units. See, there were 25,000 registered households waiting for an affordable IZ housing unit in 2023, and this list grows each year. So, how many IZ units are for families? Like 3+ bedrooms? Well, currently there are now only 2,400 IZ units built across the entire city, and most are studios and 1 bedrooms set at 80% AMI, which is practically market rate, so the developers can make their coin back. This means the very few IZ or affordable housing units in our city are catered to single people, not families. So those 8 to 10% or even 15 to 30% affordable, largely one-bedroom and studio units in most new DC buildings, which could easily go to the top-range single earners, really ain't cutting it. So now let's talk accountability, specifically on independent DC auditor report on inclusionary zoning done in 2024, where it acknowledged the 18,000 households that were registered and waiting for an IZ unit next to the 2,000 IZ units that had been built in 2022, as well as the more than 4,600 IZ registrants that are 3-plus person households, families, vying for just 123 3-plus bedroom IZ units built. The investigative report also recognized that the Department of Housing did not initiate enforcement action against any property owners or private developers who violated IZ development covenant requirements. In fact, the report recognized the Department of Housing is not even enforcing IZ annual reporting, as it's quote-unquote hard to track how many IZ units have been vacant or remain vacant since they were built. Without annual reports, the Department of Housing is unaware of the number of vacant IZ units. In summary, nobody even checking to make sure these private developers are even meeting city needs. And numbers-wise, they're not designed to. They're designed to make profit because capitalism. Add to this that in 2021, DC's Department of Housing was legally required to use 50% of the city's annual housing production trust fund for DC's lowest income earners and families, but only allocated 27% of the housing fund to serve our city's most vulnerable. That's all just coming together. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is yet more ways how gentrification works. Lack of citywide accountability. Let's talk solutions next time.
Shout out to DC Brown girl. Listen, I love all your videos. I gotta shout you out, and I've already sent you an email. We want you on the show. So, Miss Brown, what are your thoughts and reactions?
Yeah, same. To the person who developed that video, that was great work, and definitely, I think calls out some of the key issues of what we're seeing in the city today, particularly the discriminatory housing policies that displace Black and Brown residents. Housing should be a right, but it's not in the city. We should ensure that there's more affordable housing in the city so that the residents who grew up here, whose families have lived here for generations, can be able to remain here. So as DC council member, particularly for Ward 1, who's very diverse, and as a Black woman, as a social worker, it's very important for me to leverage the authorities and the levers that are within the DC council seat to ensure that there's increased affordable housing, that we address some of those loopholes in our policies and those that were there intentionally. So yeah, those points that she raised was very real. And as DC council member, these are the things that I'll do. I'll ensure that there are greater TOPA protections. TOPA is a very important anti-displacement tool that has been used across the city to keep residents protected and safe in their own housing and promote home ownership. That's very important to me, particularly as an HPAP recipient, that without HPAP, that I wouldn't be able to live here in my condo and be a homeowner living in Parkview. I am a champion of Park Morton and Bruce Monroe. The redevelopment there is a part of new communities that will bring a significant number of housing units and affordable housing units, particularly those replacement units, to ensure that Park Morton residents have a pathway to return back to our community. Some of the points that were raised in the video speak volumes to me because, you know, it was hard. There's a lot of NIMBYism that went in to fight against the project coming out. We wouldn't have had Park Morton residents be displaced the way that they were had it been for that. So I want to make sure that we not only increase the supply of affordable housing in and around the city and in the ward, but also ensure the protections of our residents to secure their housing.
And I just got to take that opportunity and moment when the People's Voice was started, under the Rising Voices, of course, but when the People's Voice in this podcast was started, it was co-founded with two other members. Might I add, Ward 1 residents, former Park Morton president Sean High. Shout out to you and all the great work you've done to help make this a successful show. And shout out to my good brother, Brother Chris Otten, who won't join me as a Democrat. He's still staying strong with the Green Party. Praise the Lord. And that's my good brother. He's the one that's gonna go and shout and yell and fight for you. And when you're not gonna do it, he'll do it. He will do it. He will. He will stand up. And so shout out to my good friends and former co-host of this great show. But let's get right back into some things you were talking about with housing. I just wanted to read one of your quotes before I ask you these next few questions. You said, as your council member, I won't just advocate for more housing, I'll fight for the right mix of housing throughout Ward 1 to preserve its rich diversity and ensure that residents thrive regardless of their income. You move on to say, as a home purchase assistance program recipient, that's the HPAP that you just mentioned, I know firsthand how these critical programs matter and that they must continue to be funded by the DC Council. Housing assistance programs like HPAP help me afford to live in DC. So, I just wanted to dive into some numbers that I had and some research that I had done, and ask you a few questions. Starting with, you talked about the funding, but one of the other issues that I've come across with our constituents, many potential home buyers report that HPAP takes months to get a notice of eligibility, delaying home purchases or risking deals even falling through. If elected, how would you accelerate the HPAP review and approval process so buyers don't get stuck waiting?
Oh, yes, I know that all too well. I waited on my HPAP assistance to come through, and it was not aligned with what's going on in the market. I could have lost my housing, and it happened during a time in 2007, 2008 when we were going through the housing market crash and the recession, and people were losing their homes, and my paperwork got caught up in that. And, there are still things that happened during that transaction, and we had to, close some loopholes later on. But that was, a lot of issues that happened during the process. I would like to really streamline that process, not only for HPAP, but housing in general. When people get their housing assistance, I don't want to see residents wrapped outside a building, a government building, to come in to receive their assistance and make sure that they have secure housing. I think that we could be streamlining that process by training workers using technology. I'm a strong fan of that. We need to get with the times and the ages where we're not shuffling around paperwork and getting it lost in file cabinets. We need to be really using that efficient system that we could be putting in place through modernized government, and what that can look like. I think technology can help us. We can still have the workforce, but we can also have technology to support that.
And I am in total agreement with that. Our government as a whole just needs to, Lord knows, we just need to upgrade, in my opinion, when it comes to technology. I'm just reminded of the time during COVID and like our unemployment system, when people were just trying to file for unemployment, and how the website was overloaded and needed a complete overhaul. In my opinion, that was long overdue, as well as so many other areas of our government. So I am definitely pleased to hear that. But for those who don't know and who aren't familiar with HPAP, I just want to give some quick context. HPAP gives qualified first-time home buyers up to $202,000 in down payment assistance, plus $4,000 in closing costs help as deferred interest-free loan. Beneficiaries, of course, must meet income limits and usually can't have owned property in the past 3 years. Residents do, however, report long wait times, timing issues with funding releases, and challenges factoring real housing costs like condo fees into affordability. I just want to give people background, but you mentioned a thing that was very important to me um, is that there are some racial disparities um, with this thing in our city with the thing called housing. I am a black man. I'm not married, but I am. Let me say the correct pastoral thing. I am dating with the purpose of marriage,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it definitely is a goal of mine to be able to tell my baby I got keys to a brand new house.
Mhm.
So given the long-standing racial disparities in housing and mortgage access, how will you ensure HPAP is implemented in a way that addresses these disparities and increases opportunities for historically underserved communities like mine?
Yeah, I'd love to funding for HPAP, quite frankly. That income eligibility threshold, I like just met it, right? And I remembered the first time I came as a into the profession, into the social work profession, I made $35,000. And I wasn't considered low income, but I had a master's degree. I was paying rent, paying groceries, paying student loans. All of those expenses, they line up, they add up. So it is really tough for even young professionals, for middle class folks today. They're juggling a lot, and HPAP provided that relief for me. I did not have money, like I saved money to support my down payment, but I didn't have tens of thousands of dollars to spare, and I couldn't go to my family. Where I came from, a working class family, they couldn't help me. So HPAP just provided that assistance, that leg up, that fair shot that I needed to get to economic prosperity, and I want to do the same for other folks who are like me. I think that we can be looking at the income threshold level, but also just pumping more money into programs like HPAP. That is another anti-displacement tool that I think is needed at a time when housing affordability is out of control.
Awesome. That's good. That's definitely good to hear. And I think that my grandfather in World One and my aunt and cousin in World One would also appreciate hearing some of your thoughts and plans. But I want to take a moment while we're talking about housing to let viewers know. Please, if you are in a situation where you are unhoused, or if you come across someone, just call the DC Shelter Hotline, especially during these winter months and when we're at a high risk of hypothermia. Please don't hesitate. Call the DC Shelter Hotline. It's 1-800-535-7252. When you see someone homeless on the street, if you're in need, do not hesitate. Listen, and let me just add this right here. Even if, say, it's not a problem of you being unhoused. These shelter vans, they have meals on wheels ready for you. If you're in need, they have socks if you need socks. They have hats, gloves, scarves, lotion, soap. Like, so, if you're in a situation where you're in need, and they also have those items, they have kits and blankets and so forth also at any DC public library. So if you're in need, please call the shelter hotline. Wherever you are, they will get your address and they will come to you. So I just wanted to put that out there. But moving right along, before I end the subject of housing, one current council member and current candidate for mayor, my great sister, council member Janice Lewis George, as you know, champions social housing. And I have to say that this organization, the Rising Voices of Politics, as a whole, has voted to champion social housing. What are your thoughts on social housing? Can you see yourself supporting social housing, and do you think it will be successful in this city?
Yes, absolutely. We need different tools in the toolbox. We need to add on to them, right? HPAP isn't just one program that I want to support as council member. Increasing the housing trust isn't another, it's another tool that I'm looking at. Social housing is very important part of the conversation as we think about ways to increase affordability and move our city forward to make sure that no matter your income or walk of life, you have access to the necessary tools needed for you to not just survive, because I know what that feels like, is not good. It was scary. Okay. We want to thrive.
Yes.
So yes, I would be a fan of that. And I would love to work with the new mayor. I know it's going to be Janice Lewis George. Let's just put it out there. And ensure that we have models like that, across the ward. But it doesn't just stop there. As a social worker, I've worked with various populations and groups that have experienced certain disparities just because of their walk of life, right? Our LGBTQIA neighbors, are folks that are experiencing homelessness, needing to create that pipeline for them to be successful in our new secure permanent housing, supportive housing for those that are experiencing mental health issues, youth who are aging out of foster care, who oftentimes end up homeless. There are models that are in Ward 4. There's another model that's somewhere else in the city, but those are just types of projects that I'd like to look at, that we can be working in collaboration with affordable housing developers and with DemPed and with some of our government agencies to expand that supply and make sure that folks are reached and that they have a pipeline to move up into the middle class. It's not going to be easy when you experience things and you have those lived experiences, but there are some great resources that are out there, not only for you to be housed, but also to provide those wraparound services and supports to help you be successful in your housing. So those are the things that I would like to look at as DC council member.
Listen. If you guys aren't listening to this, you better be listening and getting excited. Because, like I said, for the purpose of my Christian folk that's watching, I am dating with the purpose of marriage. But I definitely want to be able to one day say, "Baby, I got keys, and we got this brand new house, and I can afford to live in it." We don't have to sacrifice our entire livelihoods just to say we have a house. So, thank you. I really appreciate hearing those words, and I love Ward 7, but I wouldn't mind getting back over to Ward 1.
Yeah, Ward 1 is popping. And before we move off of housing, I just want to acknowledge what you're saying, because that's a very real thing, and data is showing this, not only for our city, but also for cities across the country. It is hard for families to balance housing and childcare costs. And I hope that we can even talk about childcare, but that's what's top of mind for families. So increasing the supply of family-sized housing, like I did in Park Morton and then, Bruce Monroe, that's going to be a critical component of the things that you'll be hearing from me, not only as a candidate of DC Council, but when I get into the seat, because I really want to increase that supply there as well. It's going to take some larger size housing models to secure enough space for a family. So we're going to have to work out those balances, right? We have to work out those shifts and dynamics of our city to make it work.
Awesome. All right, DC. So it's time. We're going to take a quick shift right now, and I'm scratching my head because I always get nervous when this subject talks about in this city. I started off. Everyone knows my story. I'm from Potomac Gardens. I started off in Ward 6. Shout out to Potomac Gardens. Shout out to Eastern Market. Shout out to Charles Island. And I switched over to Ward 1. And then I moved to Ward 7 and east of the river. There's a sensitive subject that just isn't as received as well east of the river. And then I was in for a rude awakening. I felt like the only Black person on this side of this issue. So I'm going to play this video, and then we're going to discuss something that is very, very passionate. To pass the mic.
Bike lanes in D.C. seem to be causing a divide. They were installed in the busy Adams-Morgan neighborhood, but some say safety is still a big concern. 7 News' Carl Willis caught some of the issues on camera, all new at 11.
Adams-Morgan's recently installed bike lanes aim to keep things rolling and improve safety by removing vehicle traffic lanes. But for some, it appears drivers and moped operators are taking more risks along Columbia Road. 7 News spotted drivers, including bus drivers, swerving into oncoming traffic to get around cars stopped in the road for deliveries and ride shares.
Double parking, delivery trucks are parked in the middle of the street.
We talked to Justin Sharma just moments after he had to stop in a crosswalk with his baby stroller after a driver rolled through a stop sign.
Pedestrians, little kids in the crosswalk, and that kind of thing is increasing in frequency.
But some supporters of the bike lanes like Ken Nisbet say blame the risk-taking drivers, not the system that allows him to cycle safely.
It's incumbent on all of us to be safe and actually treat each other with respect and not do stuff like that.
It's not just a safety issue that has riled opponents of these new lanes. Sean Finty says businesses like his have lost 50% of parking.
You can put it in, you can tear it out.
Reverse it.
Tuesday night, he and his neighbors made sure that the DOT and his council member heard their concerns in a meeting for the Kalorama Citizens Association.
Well, what I would like to do is for them to acknowledge that this has been a tremendous mistake and for them to pull it out. That has happened in other cities.
There's always going to be a period where people need a little bit more time to get used to it, and I hope that eventually people do.
And there's also talk about having designated drop-off and pickup zones here. While that is welcome to some, opponents tell me they will continue to work to have these bike lanes removed. In Adams-Morgan, Carl Willis.
All right, and after watching that video, I must give a shout out to another outgoing council member, Anita Bonds, who, yeah, praise the Lord. I love you, council member Bonds. We've had some disagreements when you were overseeing housing, but outside of that, I just got to say that council member Bonds is always such a sweet and loving person. Always gives me some of the biggest hugs, and she doesn't know this, but I could be having such a stressful, busy day, and just her hug and her sweet voice would just ease my tension. And oh, I love you, council member. I love you, and I wish you nothing but the best. All right, Madam Brown. Bike lanes. This has become a hot topic in this city, and I realized how hot it was until I moved east of the river. And I was like, no bike lanes. They was like, no bike lanes. And I'm like, whoa, like this is all I've been doing all my life is riding bikes. Like, what's going on? And so, what are your thoughts on the bike lanes? There was a huge thing going on about a year or so ago on Connecticut Avenue. And like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just a couple of days ago speaking about this at the Bike, Bus, and Walk PAC candidate forum. Shout out to Jeremiah and the PAC who's doing great work and lifting up these issues. Definitely have championed a lot in my ANC terms. Being a 10-year ANC commissioner, I've worked on transportation issues and was able to really be successful at moving from plans to pavement. So I have a lot of experience underneath my belt to work on some of these critical issues, because Ward 1 and around the city, we deserve to have a transformative, well-connected transportation system that works for everyone, that's affordable, that's inclusive, and that can get folks in and around the city safely. Is how we experience how we ride to work every day, how we drop our kids off safely, how we get around the city to see loved ones and experience joy and access entertainment and arts and culture. So it's I think that it's just super important for us to just have different modes of transportation that works for everyone. We're not going to all agree. uh, we're not going to all agree because, you know, we all have our preferred modes of transportation and we want to see it work just for us, right? But that's not the world that we live in. We have to think of others and how they get around safely. So as an ANC commissioner, what I did was I created a forum.
Pause real quick. If you're from DC or you love DC, this one's for you. Welcome to the People's Voice DC, a podcast where the city speaks for itself. Not just politics, not just headlines. We're talking real life, community life, DC life. From the metro rides to the murals on the walls, from classrooms to corner stores, from church basements to community meetings. This is where conversations actually happen. We talk about what matters: housing and money, mental health and healing, culture, music and creativity, faith, purpose, and finding your way, relationships, parenting, and growing up in the city. Yeah, we talk politics too, but only because policies affect our everyday lives. This show is presented by Rising Voices of Politics and founded by Reverend Michael Campbell with one goal in mind: give the people the mic. And when we say the people, we mean everybody. Young folks with big ideas, creatives with something to say, parents holding it down, leaders in the making, and anyone who's ever felt like their voice didn't matter. Trust, it does. No fake debates, no talking down, no boring energy, just real conversations, good vibes and perspectives that feel like home. Catch us live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on YouTube and social media by searching The People's Voice, DC, or Rising Voices of Politics. Missed the live show? It drops the same night at risingvoicesdc.org, and you can listen anytime on Spotify. So whether you're on your phone, in the car, in the dorm, or just trying to feel connected, tap in, tune in, and be part of something bigger. This is The People's Voice, DC, the city, the culture, the conversation. And yeah, the people got something to say.